The HMNZS Endeavour, our Navy's only tanker, is being decommissioned after 30 years of service. The support ship returned today from her last full overseas deployment, more than 4 months around Australasia and Southeast Asia, before she's either sent to the scrap heap or sold off later this year. Our reporter Zac Fleming spent last night on board as she returned home.
The clouds parted almost on cue and the Endeavour returned to Auckland under a rainbow. And it was a welcome befitting the workhorse that she is. Berthing at Devonport's naval base today was the end of Endeavour's last long-term deployment, a tour that took her to Australia, Brunei, Singapore, Cambodia and Myanmar.
I think the poor youngest child is going to get smothered, I think.
Tearful friends and family embraced, for most their first physical contact in more than 4 months.
It's a bit hard being on the other side of the world and you don't know what's happening and what they're up to.
Commissioned in 1988, the Endeavour has travelled more than 1.5 million kilometres in those 30 years, the equivalent of to the moon and back twice, or 38 circumnavigations of Earth. She's the Navy's second largest ship at 138 metres.
The Endeavour isn't what most people think of when they think Navy boat. She doesn't have any guns or weaponry. She's not a frigate. She's literally just a big floating fuel tanker. 3/4 of the 138 metres are fuel tanks. At capacity, she can hold $7 million worth of fuel.
Boots Lies was on one of her first deployments in '88. He's been in the Navy for 38 years and tending Endeavour's engine for 14 years cumulatively.
When we first got it, we used to turn the key at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and not come back till 8 o'clock in the morning because it was just that reliable when it's new. But as she's got older and older, it takes more maintenance. Like we've got more crew on board than we did when we were new. There's about 6 or 7 engineers more.
The Endeavour is a relic of a time past. In 1988, computers were novel. Ships were controlled with buttons and cogs, not touch screens and artificial intelligence.
She's been a good ship. She's had her ups and downs, but no, she's been a good ship. And when she goes, I'll go. I'll go as well.
So your Navy career is over after?
Yeah, 2019, my contract runs out and the technology is now beating me. I'm hands-on. You look out there and she's an old piece of kit and you've got to keep your hands on it. But today it's all touch computers. No.
And with any cantankerous old girl comes her quirks.
We might be stooging along and she'll just go, oh, no, I don't want to change speeds, or I might just shut down right now, and we're just like, oh, okay then. That's why I like it too. It makes things interesting.
Midshipman Taylor Cox is Boots' opposite. Just 19 years old, the past 4 months was her first deployment.
Just a cool crew, a cool command team. She's our tanker, and so she's different from everyone else.
That cool crew had an average age younger than the Endeavour herself, just 28. It's headed by Commanding Officer or Captain Martin Doolan.
We don't say old, we say mature, but it has its challenges in terms a lot of the equipment obviously is starting to age. And sometimes obtaining spare parts gets a little bit difficult. But the engineers on board here have done a great job in keeping it going. We haven't lost a day at sea through any defect, not only in the last deployment, but over the last couple of years actually. So we look after her.
In her 30 years, the Endeavour's helped in some crucial times for New Zealand and the world, including both the Canterbury and Kaikoura earthquakes.
Well, it carries forward a great tradition, I think, Endeavour. She always seems to be the ship that pops over the horizon at the right time. Her motto is in Latin is nil intentatum, nothing unattempted, and that's what I get all the way through with Endeavour. Nothing's too much effort, nothing's too much of a challenge, and if we fail in anything, well, we'll give it a damn good go in the process.
The Endeavour will be operational until mid-December, when she'll be berthed in New Plymouth.
I think that's going to be a pretty sad occasion to watch this ship sail away, probably, we think, to be scrapped.
The Navy will then be a tanker down until 2020, until the HMNZS Aotearoa is built, a $500 million ship. Compare that to the Endeavour, which cost $27 million in 1988, which is just $52 million in today's money. Her 30 years of service seems to be great value.
I'll be sad to see her go. It might be a tear in my eye when I see her go, but never mind. Technology's just beaten it.
The Navy says it hasn't yet decided whether the Endeavour will be sold, scrapped or sunk. For Checkpoint, Zac Fleming.
And if you were watching that story, those beautiful pictures were shot by cameraman Brad White.